The Biden administration may relax the strict vehicle emissions rules that it proposed last year, with some sources saying the deadline for those standards may be pushed until after 2030.
Critics say the move shows that the Biden administration is submitting to automakers who say they're lagging behind Tesla and Chinese EV companies.
Joining us once again to break all of this down is Paul Eisenstein, editor-in-chief of Headlight.News. As always, thanks for being here.
Good to be with you.
What should we be reading into this? Does this mean people just aren't wanting as many EVs as we thought they were going to want?
It means that, as Paul Jacobson, the CFO at General Motors, said, you're going to have some up and down patches. It's going to hiccup a little bit. But if you look at overall sales, they aren't going down. EVs are still growing slightly faster than the overall recovery of the U.S. new car market. And they grew 800% in 4 years. So there's still growing interest in them. Right now, as it goes into the mainstream, we're seeing mainstream buyers a little more reluctant. A couple of reasons. There's still a lot of concerns about not having enough chargers out there, and there's an issue about cost. As it goes more mainstream, you're going to want to have vehicles that go into the $20,000 to $30,000 range, and that's still a pretty empty segment. There are a couple vehicles, not enough. So I think for a couple of years, we're going to probably see EV growth slow, not necessarily sales.
So if this rule change does happen, and we should find that out sometime this spring, what does that mean going forward? It'll give automakers a little bit more time to really ramp up sales, but what do you think needs to happen first? Is it affordability? Is it that infrastructure, or just culturally? Does everyone just need to feel comfortable with change?
How do you like a simple answer? Yes.
A little bit of all.
It's going to be a little bit. People are going to want to know that EVs can give them the range they want. Though EV range is increasing. I mean, it's very common now to see 300, even 400 miles, and it's going to be more so. People are going to get more comfortable as they get into EVs. So people who don't like them, I find very often, once they actually ride, say they drive a friend's EV, they get more they get more comfortable with the idea of owning one. Cost is clearly going to be an issue. And you noticed the other day, Ford Motor Company, Jim Farley, the CEO, said they are shifting their focus from high-end vehicles like, the F-150 Lightning, which can be $100,000, right? They're going to be starting to look at $25,000, $30,000 EVs. So this is going to be very important to start having true mainstream affordable ones. We are seeing more and more chargers going in, but we're still not seeing them on every corner. Not that we need them on every corner, but we need to see them more out there so people feel comfortable as they're driving, say to visit family up in Traverse City or what have you, that they're going to be able to charge along the way.
Even if it's really cold outside.
Even if it's really cold. The reality is we just saw some folks come back from a 22,000-mile journey from pole to pole. First vehicle ever to do that, and they did it in an EV.
Wow.
So you can do it in the cold. But there's a lot of things that need to be fixed. Going forward, it's going to take a little while, but there's no question EVs can meet up with what people need.
If the Biden administration does relax these rules, should that be perceived as weakness and giving in, or is this flexibility? How do people in the industry how would they perceive that?
Well, we know that it'll be viewed however people in Washington and media want it to be viewed. So there are some people that are going to say, oh, they backed off, they screwed up, or what have you. I actually look at it as somewhat of a positive. How often do we say we wish the government would actually be more reflective of real world reality? And this is a case where the Biden administration appears to be saying, we may have gone too far. We're going to reflect the changes. If people aren't ready to buy now, let's hold off a little bit. Let's give the industry a little more flexibility so they're not dumping $100 billion in over the next few years before the market is ready.
Now, at the same time, the former president, the presumed GOP nominee for the presidency this year, he's on the opposite side of this. He's kind of saying the whole thing's not going to work. Do you see, depending on what happens in November, is there any chance this all moves in the other direction and we start going full steam ahead back toward gasoline?
If Trump were to get in, I would expect that he would follow through on at least a few of the things he's talked about. That would include probably dropping the EV incentive program. And if you take away that money, it certainly will reduce demand for EVs. But the reality is, We have so many EVs coming, there's so much good technology coming, that I don't think EVs are just going to drop off the face of the earth. I think a lot of people like them, and a lot of people would like them more if they could, for example, afford it and be comfortable that they go from point A to point B.
All right. Paul, thanks so much for joining us. This is Paul Eisenstein, editor-in-chief of Headlight.News. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.